Hello, this is Gray Hughes. I'm doing an update on the Austin bombings. I was getting ready to watch the Blazers play last night, and a person named Vanita contacted me on Facebook, and she is one of my YouTube subscribers, and let me know that there had been an explosion and possible bombing in the Austin area. So I was a little bit cautious at the time, and I wasn't ready to put out anything, but it turns out that this morning law enforcement has been able to connect that bombing, and when I say this morning, this is March 19th, 2018, depending on when you watch this video. This morning they were able to connect that bomb to the first three. Okay, now what is really scary about this fourth bombing is that after law enforcement put out the warnings telling people to look out for suspicious packages, don't pick anything up, the bomber changed his MO. This bomb was set off by a trigger wire, okay? And it happened a little after 8 o'clock p.m. So a person would not be able to see that wire at that time. I think at 8 p.m. currently it's dark outside. It's getting dark anyways. So the bomber changed up a couple things. He didn't put the packages out overnight for the early morning. He put them out in the evening when he knew people were still walking around, but it was dark enough to not see the tripwire. Okay? And it's just very, very disturbing. Also, something interesting is that yesterday, a few hours prior to the bombing going off, the same law enforcement officials who've been communicating about all the other bombings came forward and put out a message to the bomber themselves. You know, they're not sure if it's one person or multiple people, but they put out a message to the perpetrators to contact law enforcement. Okay, and they gave them an email. I think it was an email address and a website they could go to. You know, they're pretty long URL that they gave out. You'll hear that in a minute. But they wanted the killer to actually contact them. And it almost feels like he took that as a challenge. He knows that the media and law enforcement's following him, so now he puts out another bomb 2 hours after that press conference, 2 or 3 hours, and changes his MO up drastically. Okay, so this is very scary right now because no one will be able to see these bombs. There's no way for you to avoid them. You could be walking down any street and trigger one of these tripwires. Okay, now let's listen to this press conference. I'll just play the first part of it when they address the bomber themselves.
Details. First of all, I want to introduce Fred Milanowski, who's the special agent in charge for the ATF, and Christopher Combs, the special agent in charge for the FBI. These two men have been with us in lockstep in their agencies from the very first bombing that took place back on March 2nd. We believe that the recent explosive incidents that have occurred in the city of Austin were meant to send a message. The person or persons understands what that message is and are responsible for constructing or delivering these devices. And we hope this person or persons is watching and will reach out to us before anyone else is injured or anyone else is killed out of this event. These events in Austin have garnered worldwide attention, and we assure you that we are listening. We want to understand what brought you to this point, and we want to listen to you. So please call us at 911 or reach out to us online at homicide.apd.austintexas.gov. We want to talk to you.
Okay, so they're basically making a plea to this killer. And yeah, it wasn't an email. It was just call 911 or get on this really long URL that they gave out. I doubt that the killer has a pen and pencil as he's walking around and he's going to write it down really quick. Okay, you should make those kind of things simple. Like contact us at and something very simple if you really want them to contact you quickly. All right. So what I think might be interesting right now is I'll show you the actual crime scene itself. There's actually helicopter footage that we'll put on the screen here, and this will help locate the exact position. I found the exact position of where the bomb went off, okay? And it's pretty amazing what Google Earth, satellite imagery, and the actual street view all have on it, okay? Now, I was scrolling around. I found the street, and you can actually, it's pretty simple. You got these two, right here, these, I don't know if you call it sort of a brick-colored squares on both sides right there. Now, if you go to Google Earth, let's go to that location. And you'll see that right there are those brick squares that are on the side of the road. So if I go back to this image, you'll see it right there. Now there's a tree right there and another tree here. Now the street view doesn't have those trees because street view actually was from 3 years ago, and you can tell these are young trees, so they wouldn't be there. But if you actually look at the satellite image, which is from 2018, you see that tree right there, and the bike was parallel to that. Now, what's even more interesting for me, I like these little tiny details. You see these white dots right there? Those are actually able to be seen even on, if you go to Street View. So watch this. Right there, those two dots. Okay, so the bike was about right here, right in this area. So I'm almost exactly right on where the bike was. All right, now if we would go back to the helicopter footage and we go around, you can actually see right there those same two white areas right there. Those two dots, dot 1, dot 2. I'll go back to Street View actually. Right there, the two dots. And even on the satellite imagery, you can see the two dots right there from above, not just Street View. So based on that, I would take, and that bike that's on the ground, so let's see, 1, 2, maybe 1, let's put that 2 times those dots. So if you go about right there, 1, 2 dots over. So from there I'd go right there. So I have this almost exactly right where that bike is, okay? Now, if we were to look at the video here, we can see that there's techs walking all around. And there's most of the techs are actually in these woods over here, which is amazing. There's a whole bunch in those woods walking around. And what's interesting, too, is that on a press conference I heard, and we'll play a little bit of that later, or maybe do that on a live. I'm thinking of having a live here in a couple hours at 5 o'clock West Coast time. Okay, and we can go over all this. But it appears that the tripwire was set right here on this bike path with the nails and whatever they used in the bomb, you know, the metal parts, you know, bolts and screws. That's usually what these people use, or BBs or something. So let's say you tripped it, but it was all angled out to shoot across this way. So, and that's why you notice all the sort of markers in the street this direction. So the blast went out this way, and then even into these woods over there. And I think that the techs are all looking for parts of the bomb, you know, shrapnel, anything that they can use to link back to possibly the bomber. Okay, but I think the incident occurred, it was right here where the blast went off. Now, I heard that they said it was maybe against the fence, the tripwire. So maybe the tripwire attached to the fence and then went across this way, and then it exploded. It's hard to say, actually, looking at that. But yes, this is some scary stuff right now. We are looking at what appears to be a serial bomber. The police are trying to plead to the person to come forward and say what his problems are, but these people a lot of times don't care about that kind of stuff. You know, I guess it doesn't hurt to try, but these people are really about killing. That's what they do. You know, they pretend they have a message because that makes them seem like they, you know, more noble, like they have a reason. But in reality, they're no different than any other serial killer. Okay? Man. So, listen, a friend of mine named Beth started a Facebook page. I'll put the link in the description. If you guys want to join, we can talk about this case. You can post whatever you want to post. Just not really into the psychic kind of stuff. All right? So, if you want to post factual information and things related to this case, that would be great. Okay? So, until next time, you know, people in Austin, be safe. Man.